If you have enough Luigi Mangiones out there, you can't have a civilization anymore. Civilization's done. I wanted to mention this too. Daily Wire reports prosecutors say Luigi Mangione kept diaries chronicling in chilling detail his plans to assassinate United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson and revealing he backed off of a mass casualty attack that he had initially conceived. The self-proclaimed anti-capitalist wrote in his manifesto that he chose to whack the CEO rather than bomb the United Healthcare headquarters because he believed it would generate better headlines and be less likely to be deemed terrorism. Mangione allegedly wrote in a red spiral notebook, quote, "So say you want to rebel against the deadly greed-fueled health insurance cartel. Do you bomb the HQ? No. Bombs equal terrorism." Manhattan prosecutors are confident that this is open and shut case, pointing to evidence continuing to pile up, indicating that Mangione's goal was to send a message. And part of the diary that has been previously released, Mangione reasoned that someone would whack the CEO at the annual parasitic bean counter convention. It's targeted and precise and doesn't risk innocence. The University of Pennsylvania graduate justified targeting insurance providers because they literally extract human life force for money. The point is made in the news headlines, insurance CEO killed at annual investors conference. It conveys a greedy bastard that had it coming. And the report goes on about how Mangione was very concerned about how the quote-unquote normies would respond to his attack, and he knew he wanted to kill people, and he wanted to engage in this act of terrorism, but he wanted to do it in a way that would manipulate the feelings of the quote-unquote normies. And unfortunately, he was successful. That's the unfortunate part of it. And I think that's the update on the Mangione case. It's his first court appearance is in a couple of weeks on June 26th. I think it's important to bring this up now in light of the situation in California. And I'm going to keep bringing it up as this continues, because I know there are a lot of people on the right who would like to pretend that they never cheered this scumbag on or expressed any sympathy with him. But if you're in that group, I'm not going to let you forget it so easily, because there's an important lesson that needs to be learned here. And yeah, I might be a little resentful. I mean, I was ripped to shreds 6 months ago by a lot of self-professed conservatives and even some quote-unquote longtime fans who probably weren't that, but were claiming it anyway, because I didn't defend Mangione. And I found that pretty annoying. And it's even more annoying that those people are pretending that it never happened. So I have to admit that there's a little bit of maybe resentment there. I mean, it was the most insane backlash I've ever experienced in my career. I've gotten a lot of backlash. This was the craziest, because people were angry at me for being opposed to first-degree murder. I mean, total madness. How much have you thought about what's in your tap water? I used to not pay attention, but I recently found a great website where you can enter your zip code and it'll tell you all the contaminants in your drinking water. So watch. I typed in a zip code for Nashville. You can see here there are 11 total contaminants in the water and 7 that exceed the recommended guidelines. Chloroform is 11 times over the recommended limit, and THMs are 182 times over, plus all this other stuff that I never even heard of. I don't need my family ingesting any of that. That's why I make sure to purify my water with an amazing countertop filtration system called Cove Pure. Their clear wave reverse osmosis technology is lab certified to remove up to 99.9% of impurities. Virtually everything that isn't an H2O molecule is filtered out, leaving you with totally pure water. Not only does it look amazing, the best part is there's no need to drill into pipes or call a plumber. You just fill Cove Pure up with water and plug it in, and it's as simple as that. And what I love is it has a simple touchscreen that lets you choose the exact amount of temperature that you want, hot, cold, warm. Cove Pure does it all instantly with the tap of a button. Just because your water looks clear doesn't mean that it's clean. Investing in clean water is one of the most important things you can do for your family's health. And because I partnered with Cove Pure, for a limited time, you'll get $200 off if you use the link in my description box, covepure.com/Walsh. But that's not the main thing. The main thing is that we have to take the right lessons from this. And this is why you don't join forces with the left and cheer on a murderer. Because when you do that, You give them moral license to do exactly what they're doing in Los Angeles right now, or what they did during the Summer of Love in 2020, or dozens of other examples of politically motivated violence. After all, the whole argument in defense of Mangione wasn't that he's innocent of being a murderer. It's that, yes, he's obviously guilty, but it was for a good cause. It was first-degree murder for a good cause, allegedly. Well, if first-degree murder can be justified for a good cause, then any kind of violence can be justified for a cause that certain groups deem to be good. Rioting can certainly be justified. Yeah, because the Mangione case was never about healthcare. I mean, you got idiots who tried to make it about healthcare, but that was never the point. I didn't take a position against Mangione killing Brian Thompson because I think that healthcare practices in this country are fair or always fair or always good. No, the story is about law and order. And as conservatives, we have to defend law and order. That must be one of the most fundamental things that we are trying to conserve and preserve. You can't have a civilization without law and order. You can have a civilization with unfair healthcare policies or whatever. That's not good. And it's something you want to try to fix. It's never going to be perfect. People have a far too simplistic view of healthcare. I think just demonizing the health insurance companies and leaving it at that is lazy and dumb. Sure, the health insurance companies can do unfair things, and there's nothing wrong with pointing that out, but it's not nearly as simple as people make it out to be. Like, acting like the health insurance companies are run by Darth Vader is silly. And it precludes any kind of nuanced conversation where we figure out how to actually improve healthcare in this country, which is not simple. It's a complicated thing to deal with. And there are a lot of variables that people just don't take into account. But that's not what this story is about. Again, it's about law and order. Plain and simple. I mean, I don't care how you feel about healthcare. I don't care how you feel about health insurance companies. We cannot have a society without law and order. Healthcare policies are irrelevant without law and order. You could have the greatest, most equitable health insurance plan in the world, and it will mean precisely nothing if a roving gang of thugs shoots you in the head and burns your house down. What good is the healthcare policy going to do at that point? Healthcare is a downstream issue. It's important, but it's not as fundamental as law and order. Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, I mean, maybe he was a bad guy. I'm still not convinced of that. I haven't seen evidence of what was so terrible about this guy. So the only thing I've seen about him is that he was a husband and a father. He was a CEO of a healthcare company. I have not seen any evidence that anyone's presented that this guy was some sort of horrible villain. I have not seen that. But even if he was, let's just pretend maybe he was Darth Vader. Let's just, okay. Well, he was not a threat to civilization. Luigi Mangione is. If you have enough Luigi Mangiones out there, you can't have a civilization anymore. Civilization's done. Okay? It's that simple. People who have no respect for the law will do whatever they want, think that they have a moral license to kill someone if they don't like them. If you have enough people like that, civilization's gone. That's it. You cannot pick and choose here. Either you support and defend law and order or you don't. And if you don't, then what you support instead is anarchy, because that's the only other option. You support the death of civilization. And if we are not trying to, at bottom, conserve civilization, then I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're fighting for exactly. And this latest example in Los Angeles this should not need to be a wake-up call for anyone. We've seen repeatedly over the last 5 years, prior to Luigi Mangione, we've seen many examples of what happens when you don't have law and order, when you start taking the side of lawless thugs. And yet you still have people ostensibly on the right who made that mistake again. Will that be the last time? Probably not, but we'll see. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.